Staying with us, a global education network is launched in South Africa. The Catalyst Community Education Network also operates in Australia, Canada and the US. It aims to find and share common solutions to challenges that educators experience across the world. At its Johannesburg launch last year, those attending said access to technology was one of the biggest problems they face in schools. To tell us more about this initiative, we're joined by the spokesperson for Catalyst as well as the CEO of Scibono, Dr. More Chakane. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. I thought it'd be great to have this conversation as we've just coming up the first few days of the school here, where we've seen so many shiny, happy kids entering what's expected to be a very, very long journey. But unfortunately for many, it won't be an easy journey. To start us off, Candace, tell us about the aims and a little bit about the journey towards launching the Catalyst community.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having us. So I think, let me just take a step back and just explain Catalyst very briefly. So it's an online global community that has been established to bring like-minded education leaders together, especially education leaders that are extremely passionate about making a change in education. And we were very fortunate for South Africa to be part of this. It launched towards the end of last year. And Australia was the first to launch, then South Africa, and then, like you've already said, it went through to London and America. Right now, we're sitting on over 300 education leaders from South Africa who have joined this cause and this movement to say we want to make a stand and we want to be part of this global initiative. And really what it does is it's brought together by a couple of founding partners who are strategic leaders in education. And it's given other leaders an opportunity to raise their hand and say we either need support in an area or we've got an idea. And it's really created that platform for them. It's still in infancy stage, but it's going to grow.
Dr. Chakane, why is something like this so important at this stage where our country's education system finds itself in?
Thank you very much for having us. It is very, very important. And for example, I'm an education leader. Now, as an education leader, a number of times you find ourselves isolated, quiet somewhere, and you even fear of bouncing your ideas either with people at the board level or SGBs or even with your own employees. So you find yourself sort of isolated there, depressed. You can't even share those innovations in a safe space.
Working in silos.
Working in silos, exactly. So at this kind of a platform, it allows you as a leader out of your silo space, and then where you can connect with other leaders and share your innovations and your ideas in a safe space without fear of being criticized. For example, right now in Scibono, we've got an excellent H2O exhibition that's sitting there. This exhibition just in time for South Africa because it teaches us about water, how we need to save water. We know the crisis of water coming to South Africa. We saw Tshwane, we saw Cape Town. But this exhibition, it uses a lot of technology. So it gives you an opportunity as a CEO to share these ideas with other leaders across the world and share whether it's working or not. And it is working. And you get all these ideas from Australia, from everywhere. And it helps me to be on the trend of the world as a South African education person. So it's really a good innovation.
Now, Candace, talk to us about how the back end of this works. If some of your first findings when you've had a couple of these launch events has said access to technology is one of the big barriers we're finding in progress in education, how are we helping our teachers, especially those in less affluent communities, to get access to something like Catalyst?
So I think there's a couple ways. One, obviously, yes, we've said it's a global, but we know, I mean, it's an online community. We know connectivity is a challenge. So some of the things we're looking at and we're working with, and we were very privileged to have MEC Lesufi and Dr. Chakane with us at the launch, and really they are part of the founding members in South Africa. We have to call it South Africa, Catalyst for South Africa. And some of the ways is really workshops. So taking workshops out to the communities and doing a bit of a deep dive in terms of what are they missing. I think that because it's, like we said, online, it does cause a challenge that it's not accessible to everybody. So it's taking a step back and actually going out and reaching the relevant communities through the MECs and through the other education leaders.
Dr. Chakane, we live in, which, I mean, nobody can deny, we live in one of the most unequal societies in the world. And you see that in education, the schools that are the haves and the have-nots. Is there enough interaction between those schools who could potentially help give other schools a leg up? And can something like this help make that happen in a more organized way?
Yes, direct answer to that is that no. Currently, there is no that enough relationship amongst these schools to interact and share resources. One of the things that I can tell you that frustrate education leaders like myself is, where do I start, for example, in getting these resources? Either be financial resources or human resources, or even simple things like the materials and textbooks. So a platform like this one allows us to get to know and access some of these materials. We know they are freely available online. So you go and be a member of one of the catalysts. I'm able to access someone sitting somewhere in Australia, somewhere sitting somewhere in Canada, to say, I've got this material, can you share with me? By a click of a button, I've got that document. So this will definitely help to close that gap between the haves and the have-nots by mere simple access in a much more cost-effective and cheapest way, if it's not for free way.
Now, Candace, you are the spokesperson for Catalyst, but you also work in the what is now known widely as the EdTech world as well. Once we are able to remove those barriers, like the cost of data, we've seen schools being launched here in Gauteng that have got the very latest in digital technology, and then unfortunately we hear reality bites, and a couple of days later they get robbed, and you know, all of these kinds of things. We've got schools where they've finally got computer labs, but they need to be secured in such a way so that criminals can't get in and just steal this basically out of the mouths of our children. Once we are able to get past those barriers, how much can technology really bring a developing country like South Africa forward, especially when we need it to be done on a large-scale basis?
Yeah. Well, I think the big thing for me is what technology actually equips our children with, and that's equips our children with 21st century skills. So it opens up a different world for them. One, it also opens up their mindset. So no longer do they have to stay in a poverty mindset. If I can give an example, Curtis Nkonde School of Specialization, one of their teachers, and through this platform, one of their teachers participated in a study with a school in Mexico. And the children collaborated, same time, using the smart boards that have been put into our GDE schools, connected via video conferencing. So yes, they had data, but all of a sudden they started learning about a different culture. They started learning about a world other than just Soweto. So it opens up a completely different mindset for our children, but also it brings about computational thinking. It brings about communication, critical thinking, and they start to collaborate. So these are the skills they are required in what we're calling a 21st century workforce. So never mind when we leave school, do we not only need digital skills now, and that's a given, but we need far more. And I think that will bring about, one, if we've got children that are thinking computationally, they can solve problems that we're still sitting with today in our economy, that a lot of us are still grappling to discover. That once they've got the skills, it may become, immediately to them.
Dr. Chikane, the space that you and your team at Saibono have created is a very creative one. It's a very stimulating one. And part of what's come up at your Catalyst launch events is a focus on designing spaces for future learning opportunities. Create spaces that influence how students feel about themselves, which in itself can stimulate the way they think, what they will strive for, what they dream about. But that can fit in with the need to have more kids that are competent in maths and science. And we've heard repeatedly in the lead up to our latest matric results being released, less and less kids are taking matric and are taking maths and science up to matric and then into tertiary level. What can be done there?
Absolutely. You know, spaces like Saibono Discovery Center, it's whereby we present these so-called difficult subjects like math, science, technology in a very fun, relaxed, non-conventional way from the classrooms. So children come in there, you touch, you play, you hear, you feel of all these technologies that we have on the floor. Saibono has got not less than 400 interactive exhibitions illustrations on the floor that assist people to understand that. I like to give this one as an example whereby we even have an exhibition that shows you how the radio works, how the antenna moves from one side to the other. Now, a platform like this one, the Catalyst, once you have it, once all these kids interact and play and learn at the same time all these STEM subjects, it allows them then to start and put them on an international platform that after interaction of this 1, 2, 3 from Saibono, this is what I've learned, this is a new idea, and then you can bounce it off with other kids across the world. So it also allows that competitive kind ofness amongst all the children. So it's a very wonderful, wonderful innovation in education indeed.
Candice, the importance of community. This week I was at the opening of the brand new Noordgesig Primary School in Soweto, which has been completely rebuilt as a result of asbestos being in the original building. And what I kept hearing from parents there, saying how important it was for the community to be a part of it and to take ownership of the school, of the running of it, of being involved, something that because of our history hasn't always been possible. How important is, when we talk about the need for community to be involved, we're not just talking about the people who work in the schools and education leaders. We're talking about the parents, the aunts, the uncles and other people in the communities that these kids come from.
Absolutely. And I think what we call it is a holistic education. There's a term, you know, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, it takes a community to educate a child. And we were talking about, you know, you spoke about the barriers and the theft. Actually, we found in many of the instances, the schools that are the most protected are where the community's been educated around what does this technology in your school mean for you as a parent? What does it mean for your child? What is the future, you know, that you could give your child? And we've actually had parents who would guard the schools initially when MEC Lesofie put the technology into schools. So it's extremely important. And I think something just as simple as educating them on why your child needs breakfast before they come to school. And why, you know, just very basic things. But it's imperative that they understand the implications of technology, of nutrition, on the life of their child and what it means after matric. So absolutely, it needs to be a holistic community. That's part of it.
Dr. Shakane, your view on the importance of community in trying to take the country forward in education?
Absolutely. There's no way that you can raise a child without the involvement of the community. And that is why our vision in Saibono is actually to educate the public, not the school. The school is one portion of the public, but our move is to make sure that all the people of South Africa, which is our clear vision of Saibono, is to educate and ensure and impart science technology amongst all the people of the country. And that's what we believe. If the community is educated, then we are in the right track as a country.
Candice, just very quickly before we finish off, the Catalyst community, where can people find out more?
So the quickest is to go onto educatalyst.com.
Educatalyst.com.
Correct. And sign up there. And they'll immediately be given access to all posts that have gone on there and other leaders that are on this community already.
So those are, who are you aiming that at to sign up?
It's education leaders. Okay. So anybody from a principal to a head of department to an MEC that really feels they're a change agent in South Africa, either need support or have something to give.
We want to hear from talk them. To that's possibly going through the same thing.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Sounds like a great initiative. Thank you so much. Candice du Preez, the spokesperson for Catalyst community here in South Africa, and of course joined there by Dr. Maura Chakane, the CEO of Saibono. Thank you.